Hi, everyone. I think we'll just wait for a minute for everyone to join. Hey, hi, Hemant. Hemant, I think you're on mute.
Yes, hi Nikhil. Hi.
Awesome. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. That's great. So let's just take a minute for everyone to join and we can begin. Awesome. I think others will keep joining us as we continue. So first of all, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us in this webinar. And we're going to cover a very interesting topic today. We're going to talk about D2C brands and how they cover the customer buying journey from acquisition to retention. And joining us here today is Mr. Hemant Kakkar. He is the VP of Growth at the Man Company. And he has a very vast variety of and background in marketing. He has a degree from IIM Bangalore, and he has worked at various firms, including the Times of India, actually heading their marketing campaigns, etc. It's a pleasure to have you, Hemant, over here. Your experience is going to be very enlightening. I'm quite excited to hear about your thoughts about this market, about this space as well.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you so much for a wonderful introduction, and thanks to Lime Chat team for giving this opportunity to share my thoughts in this space. I am personally very attached to D2C as a space, as a work stream, because this is something which is sort of a new e-commerce. I mean, the e-commerce that we knew earlier, that has changed, and digital marketing trends change every 6 months. So I'm pretty excited to be part of the session today, and happy to share whatever insights I have around this space, for acquisition as well as retention marketing.
Absolutely. I think we have a lot of interesting questions, and I think the panelists, I mean, the other attendees would also be interested in knowing those. Quick introduction about myself as well. I'm one of the founders here at LimeChat, and we are on a vision and on a mission to actually build the best type of conversational experiences on chat for a lot of D2C brands. And the Man Company is one of those brands, and glad to have Hemant on this call here with us today. So Hemant, as we get started, let's talk about D2C. And the last 2 years in D2C have been phenomenal. I mean, the growth in this space has been exponential. So what do you think are some of the factors that led to this accelerated growth over the last 24 months?
So, Nikhil, just to give you some numbers as well, D2C as a behavior or as a preference for a customer has also increased significantly. And in terms of the number of startups that have come up in the last 24 months, 36, let's give it 36 months because 24 is the pandemic. So what led to this growth was, of course, pandemic. I think then another thing that led to this was convenience and shift of behavior. When we all were going through the pandemic, we had no option to go out. So a lot of behavior shifted to online, and that change was sort of a permanent one, because people who started experiencing online shopping, they continue to be online shopper even now. And with D2C, especially, the brands have become very innovative. So the products which are not available to you in a traditional retail, D2C brands were quite innovative in bringing up those products very quickly in the market, and give customer that kind of experience. And I think all that collectively led to this adoption of B2C. In the last 2-3 years, if you talk about some 600% growth in just the funding which these companies have raised, if you compare it to the last 2-3 years. So you can imagine both is a demand as well as a supply. So there are customers who are looking forward to such brands, and there are also businesses which are coming up pretty much every day. So it's a quite exciting space to be in here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's estimated that this market's going to hit around $100 billion in India itself by 2025.
Yeah, by 2025, yes. And
what type
even
of
in that, yeah, I think larger contribution still comes from, fashion, accessories, gadgets, electronics, and personal care. These are the common categories. So yeah, 100 billion is what experts are talking about, and I'm quite bullish about it.
I think that becomes a very exciting market. But then, we're talking about growth, but all of these brands are also facing a lot of challenges. With the opportunity of growth, also come the challenges in that growth cycle, especially with so many brands coming out in the market. So, what are the type of problems that a typical D2C brand would kind of go through in this era?
Yes, Nikhil. So, for a D2C marketer, the biggest challenge is how to win that sort of a share of voice in an already crowded market. So if I put myself as a customer, I have multiple options for the same thing, be it personal care or electronics, fashion, apparel, and there are multiple brands. So it's very difficult for a brand to win that, share of voice when social media is crowded. And if you look at the target audience for everybody, the target audience is pretty much similar. If you look at your typical Facebook campaign, it will be, everybody is talking to that 18 to 34 sort of a demographic. So you're cluttered, and that's why the CPM also goes up. So because the D2C growth marketers are trying to tap into the same audience, those ads have become sort of a blind spot, because they really, every third, fourth feed in your Instagram, if happens to be an ad. So that sort of puts you into clutter. I think that's where D2C brand needs to sort of innovate and figure out ways to break this clutter and optimize their acquisition cost.
We're talking about this acquisition cost, and I think that's one of the biggest pain points that, as you mentioned, most founders face and most growth marketers face. So, what are the reasons why CAC is actually increasing day by day? One thing that you mentioned is that you're all fighting for the same voice, the share of that.
Yeah, every brand is fighting for the same space. The demographic, if you talk about, everybody's talking to millennial people living in metro, and people with high purchase intent. I'm also a growth marketer, so we also use a lot of levers to sort of reach out to the right audience. But yes, because the space is still finite and everybody is reaching out to them, that's why the CPMs and CAC goes high. Other reason is the sort of changes which has happened in macro environment, like iOS recently, I think in July, made this change in their policy that the data will not flow to Facebook. That buffered a lot of growth marketers, including we at the Man Company. So I think now we have to sort of figure out a way to steer through it. Next year, I think Google is also changing its policy, so even Android phones will have a similar constraint. The idea is that you will always have macro environment to sort of limit you as a marketer, and your job is to figure your way out with innovations, or probably by knowing the customer better than just shooting in the dark because the edge with D2C brands is especially with players who have got certain vintage to it. Your audience, which demographic come from. If your data says that tier 2 and tier 3 cities are contributing equally to your revenue, you can actually channelize your marketing spends there as well, because there the CPMs would be low, because not many would be aiming for it. And another thing which I think is how well you know your customers based on your historical data. That can help optimize the acquisition cost significantly.
I think that's a very interesting point that you mentioned about customer data. So, when there are all these brands actually marketing and showing ads to that customer, the customer is probably going to choose the one that kind of hits his or her needs the most, their personalized level.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's precisely what I am coming to. Because social media is not a mass media, because you have a lot of information available about the customer, about their interest, about what they like. And also you have your intelligence available from your historical records. So if you marry the two and figure out the right cohort, which would be the right fit for your acquisition campaign. And also, talking a little bit more about personalization. See, earlier there used to be time where you would only have very fixed cohort, you know, 3 month active, 6 month active member, or probably city demographic. But now each customer is unique. Each customer has its unique preferences. So if you actually build a customer, data mart or a personalization around a customer, there will be a lot of things. I mean, you should know their interest, their preference, what time do they respond, what are their preferred channel, whether they buy on app or mobile, whether they prefer X channel over Y, and what is their ticket size, wallet potential, propensity. There are a lot of variables. I mean, so it's not just plain demographic, male, female, age group, city. That's gone are those days. So
I
I
think
think for a
everyone
good
has access to that information now. Facebook makes it so available that everyone is.
Facebook makes it easy, and I think, and also when customers are on your platform, either during the order or post purchase, brand should also aim to capture these details, because that would greatly personalize the experience. Of course, now there are tools available where you can personalize the experience for a logged in user and a non-logged in user. But yeah, the larger point is that instead of treating the customer putting in generic cohorts, it's the time we move to hyper personalization, considering each customer is unique, their preference is unique, their behavior is very unique. And that's what I think customer also expects. So it's not just what brand should do, it's also what customer would want. When a customer interacts with a D2C brand, they know that, this is a brand that I am buying directly from, and I as a customer expect the brand to know me.
Yeah.
I mean, I buy it for my wife during our gifting season, and I expect the brand to know that the gift is purchased by a male. So even the person, I'm talking about that kind of personalization also. So when I get targeted by the communication, it should somewhere reflect that I bought it for a gift, not as a self user, using for self.
And this is very different from the way that traditional e-commerce has happened. It's mostly happened on marketplaces like Amazon, Flipkart, etc. And
Yeah.
I don't think personal data was actually shared across those platforms.
Right. When you work on marketplaces, of course, they don't share any personal information. You only get to know the physical address, so which is again only for the dispatch purpose. But that's one big advantage which D2C has, is the customer is transacting at your platform. So you know a lot about the customer. And when you're interacting, you have a lot of opportunities to hold the conversation with the customer. Then in there, that's where I think a lot of cross-sell, upsell sort of opportunities also arise, because you have a definite contact information about the customer, their preference, their past purchase behavior, which is the biggest premise of D2C over traditional or marketplace model.
Right. But most of this data that you collect, it's only after a person or a customer has actually reached your platform. So you've already done the hard work of actually acquiring that customer onto your platform. Do you think this personalization can help you in terms of actually optimizing your CAC also in some way? Or is it only going to be used for maybe retention
No,
purposes?
it does help in optimizing the CAC as well. So like I mentioned, when you have a history of your audience, your customers, what kind of customers buy, Facebook also allows you to create a lookalike of the same people. The point which I was mentioning 5 minutes back, if significant of revenue come from a non-metro city also, and you have a data to prove it, there's absolutely no harm in reaching out to the non-metro audience and targeting them or lookalike of them. So Facebook would help you find out people who are similar audience, and I think that can help. The idea is that the more you know about your customer, the deeper insights that you have about your customers, customer persona, the more you're able to sort of leverage the platform. And it not just help in acquisition, I think for retention effort also, as much as you know about that about your customer, that helps.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned retention. So once a person or a customer actually reaches your platform and they make a purchase, um, how important is retention to a brand? Why do they care about it, and why not just keep acquiring new customers most of the time?
See, academic answer to this is, cost of retention is far lower than cost of acquisition, and it's true to a sense, because when you're actually looking at retention, you're talking to a customer who has already experienced brands. A lot of brands, in fact, all D2C brands spend a lot of money in building the top of the funnel, which is for the awareness and then for the consideration. That's where I think 70-80% of the performance marketing also budget goes into building the top of the funnel. And for retention, you're talking to a guy who has at least bought or done one purchase from you. So this guy is sort of very, very, somebody who has experienced the brand. So that's very important. Also for certain categories like personal care or even apparel, where the purchase is quite frequent, retention becomes all the way more important, because now once you acquire the customers, if they like the product, a product which has a usage cycle of say about 30, 40, 45 days, talk about the man companies of face wash, face serum sort of products you consume in 30 days. So I think it's a great use case for D2C brands where the frequency of purchase is high. Retention is something which definitely all brands should target.
So there's an interesting question from our audience. Shivanshu has asked, what do you think about the subscription model in D2C? And do you think that all D2C businesses can eventually adopt a subscription-based model?
Right. So, see, subscription-based model, I think is something, it depends on which category you're operating into, what is the frequency of that, and whether subscription is adding any convenience to it. So I'm a milk basket customer at my home, and that's a subscription-based model because I need that product every day. While if there's a product which has a very low involvement and high frequency sort of a category, there's definitely merit in doing a subscription-based product. Otherwise, what brands can do is they can create sort of a reorder flows, customer flows, and reach out to the customer, which makes it convenient for them to place the order quickly. So if you use a certain product every month and you have a data to prove it, because putting on subscription, not every category can sort of find it relevant and benefit from it. But yes, something as simple as, you send an SMS to customer, why don't you restock or replenish your, the stock product that you're using. Here's a quick link to sort of reorder. I think that can also help.
So, there's two ways to look at it. One is that you could be sending a message maybe 2 months down the line that you bought something. Let's take an example from the van company itself. Let's say that you're buying a face wash, right? So you could either send a message 2 months down the line saying that you bought a face wash, do you want to replenish it? Or you can actually have the person sign up on a subscription basis, knowing that they are going to keep buying a face wash, and it typically takes 2 months for them to kind of do a repeated purchase. So just put them on a subscription model. They don't have to think about it, and they'll get the face wash after every 2 months. What do you think are the pros and cons about these two different methodologies?
So as a brand, of course, I'm very happy if people subscribe. Right? Cons could be, there could be return as well, if, because there's a RTO option as well. If product lands into your doorstep when you say, oh, I did not order it, or I subscribed, this guy will send the courier guy back. So that's one. Other thing I think is, and why subscription model in a D2C category is sort of still a challenge, because customers is spoiled for choices. Customer is spoiled because there are a lot of innovative products in the same space, and customer sometimes like to try out multiple products from multiple brands. So if they're using, say, a particular type of face wash from TMC, the man company, possibly the customer would like to try out some other products from a different brand. So, and this customer is also quite price sensitive. When you subscribe, you sort of lock in the price for the product. But this customer is also very price sensitive. They would look out for the discount and offers where the best possible offer is available in the market, and then they buy. Especially high value products like perfumes, fragrances. That's where people sort of look for a better price and discount than buy. So, a product which has, again, milk basket was one example which I gave because I'm personally a user. Of course, OTT has cracked it very well, the subscription-based model. But for D2C, the challenge is it could lead to high RTO as well.
Understood. Because not everyone people are, like you said, they're spoiled for choices right now in today's day and age.
Spoiled for choices, price sensitive, impulse buyer.
that makes the challenge and retention extra hard if you think about it. So
Yeah.
can you give us your thoughts about what is a way to approach retention marketing for existing customers to kind of get them to make a repetitive purchase again instead of going to a competitor and getting something at a little higher amount of discount?
So first thing, of course, is to build as much of intelligence as possible about your customer. Uh, Again, not just demographic and or order details, but know more about the customers, and then try to enrich that data continuous basis, so that you know more and more about the customers. The other thing I think is very important is to uh, build customer journeys for post purchase as well. uh, I mean, growth marketers put in a lot of effort to build journeys for pre purchase, or even during the purchase, but actually, when the physical product lands into a hand of the customer, that's where they are introduced to the brand. Otherwise, till such time, it was only the purchase part of it. So I think post purchase journey is very, very important for brands to drive retention. uh, there are of course opportunities to sort of build customer communication, build sort of a loyalty program, referral program. We're also talking about things like connected packaging, where on packaging you can have a QR code which leads to a WhatsApp conversation. That's where I think brands can start engaging with the uh, and the customers can start engaging with the brand, and vice versa, of course. And one important factor for retention is also, I think, the new trend which is picking up is conversational marketing, where uh, we are able to sort of drive higher conversion for mid funnel and bottom funnel audience who are on your D2C website, on platform, and close to making a purchase decision. How do we do that? For retention, WhatsApp offers such features where you can actually create reorder campaign, replenish sort of a campaign. And specifically, if we talk about conversational marketing, I think that's something which we have recently implemented and we've been really benefiting from it. Is our ROAS for mid funnel and bottom funnel audience have significantly improved, at least by 30-40%, because most of the impulse purchase which happens on website, customers would like to know a little bit more about the product before making a final purchase. So I think that's where our WhatsApp chatbot comes very handy. And thanks to your team, Nikhil, who have got this implemented for us. I'll tell you how journey looks like on WhatsApp for retention. So I got an audience or a customers from, say, a social campaign. They come to a website, they experience the product, they want to make a purchase, but they still want to ask questions. So earlier it used to be a very manual effort. They would call a call center executive to know about the product, how to use, who all can use, and what are the benefits. And now it's all automated through the WhatsApp chatbot. So just one click, it takes you to a chatbot on your WhatsApp. It quickly answers question that you want. It enables, it sort of assists the purchase end to end. So this feature alone has contributed. I mean, if you just talk about numbers, I think in terms of our revenue, at least 3-4% of revenue started coming only from chatbot in past, and they're all people who were either not converting, or we could have lost them as a customer if they were not in the if we could not capture them on through conversation marketing. Yeah.
You mentioned about using this kind of personalization. You said that customers nowadays want to do a little bit more research before actually making a purchase, and people have already made a purchase. They want a better experience. You talked about this post-purchase journey. So can you tell a little bit about what can we actually do in a post-purchase journey? How do we make it a little bit more exciting for the customer? Or after they click on the buy now button, what opportunities do you have to actually engage with the customer?
So right, Nikhil. So say for post purchase, I think it starts from as soon as you complete the purchase. I mean, make the payment. Few things. So so WhatsApp has a constraint that you cannot communicate to a customer unless they have initiated the conversation in 24 hours. Now, with post purchase journey, it actually gives you 2-3 opportunities to talk to the customers within a message which does not look intrusive. So, for example, one common inquiry at our sort of call center was, "Where is my order? When will I deliver it?" Now, that journey can be very well personalized with the help of integration with shipping provider. On WhatsApp, it says, your order will be delivered in X days or X hours. And then once it is delivered, you can also convey that order is delivered. You can hold the conversation. So every message is an opportunity for brand to have a conversation with the customers. So that's till the order delivery part. Then of course you can engage on pretext of taking a survey. Another thing is, I think again, a month down the line, when the product is required for replenishment, I think that's also a good opportunity for brands to engage post purchase. Reaching out to the customers and building the conversation there. If you can, reorder the stuff that you had ordered. Hope you're liking it, so and so forth. Yeah.
So interesting. So basically, at every point of that journey, from order being placed to the confirmation to the shipment, the delivery, you're able to kind of
Right.
stay with the person. And you do you feel that actually leads to a better retention rate? Do customers really care about that in today's day and age, about getting these type of messages?
I think they do. I mean, if you handle it very well, even the what you send, the communication, the tonality, customer today is very, very smart. I mean, the message that you write should not look very pushy or intrusive. It should look that trying to help the customers by providing them shipping information or and that, as it becomes more of a CX thing, which is customer experience thing, than a pure marketing. So how you handle it with the language, with the right language, with the right time to reach out to the customers, and all that, I think, makes a lot of difference. I mean, as a customer also, I receive a lot of message from WhatsApp, from brands on WhatsApp, and I judge them based on what it says, what is written on that. Is it pushing a particular sale activity, or they really care for me as a brand? I think if you show that warmth as a brand, we want you to be aware of where your order is. I think that sort of helps.
Absolutely. There was actually an interesting question about the journey. When Shivanshu asked that, can you kind of gamify the journey, the buying journey somehow, using some sort of any type of like he mentioned
Yes.
points, etc.
Yes. So I think loyalty program is one thing which all I think D2C brands can sort of quickly implement. There are plug and play apps as well. I think most of us are on Shopify. Most of D2C brands are on Shopify, or they have the in-house build. So gamification is possible. The gamification could be in the form of cashback, points back, and then linking those points and cashback for the next purchase. When you do the next purchase, you can sort of use those coins. Again, depends on the frequency of the high frequency brand. They can also play on serious loyalty, but where you can tier the audience into different tiering and drive and provide different benefits to each tier of the customers. And I think cashback is something which sort of still works well, because works well in other than points, because points and all sort of takes for people who collect and redeem it. But cashback is something which works well. And then you link the cashback redemption to the next purchase. Then you buy something, then you again earn some cash. That leads to third purchase, fourth purchase. So that's something, of course, can be done, and a lot of brands are actually already doing it.
I think we've seen a lot of brands actually adopt a lot of this loyalty programs, particularly in the last couple of months. So I think we should see some results out of that.
I come from a loyalty background. Yes, I was leading marketing in Payback, which is globally the largest loyalty program. So loyalty as a subject is very close to my heart. and yes, I think the thing that one should sort of check or evaluate is, of course, the frequency. Because sometimes when you have loyalty points, but if they're not significant, people might not even bother to sort of redeem them, or they just expire also. So you have to play it such a way that it is significant enough for somebody to make the second purchase. Yeah.
Very interesting. And what are your views about? So we talked about things about customer acquisition to retention, and some techniques that we could be using to retain these customers. We talked about using channels like WhatsApp. We talked about messaging, loyalty programs, etc. What do you think is left? What are some kind of innovative type of ideas that we could work on, or the market could work on, and that could lead us to a next generation of D2C engagement with your customers?
So, see, when we look at the sort of return on investment and when we analyze campaign, there are multiple factors which influence the performance of a campaign. One is, of course, the audience selection that we spoke about. How you select the audience, how you segment, how you personalize it. The other thing is again how you sort of replicate the promise which you have made in the ad. You show me an ad as a customer, you take me to a page, and if that page sort of builds on the same promise, then I'm highly likely to convert as a customer. So to optimize the product pages, the landing pages, what information you capture. See, in e-commerce, you don't have a sales guy who is going to assist you. So that means your product page has to be super detailed to capture all possible questions that a customer would have. And also, if you're positioning your brand as premium, that premium look and feel should be there in the page. If you're positioning yourself as a budget brand, then of course price is the more important thing. So then there are a lot of levers to sort of optimize the conversion. One of them is, of course, the creative, which is the communication bit. Again, taking to the first point that we discussed, it's a cluttered market. So how do you break that clutter? So that means innovation in the content and the communication that you convey. Build the same promise on the website, which is essentially your product detail page, called conversion optimization. And last stage, which is the effortless purchase journey. I think that's also something a lot of BNPL players have come up these days. I think that makes the purchase journey very convenient because it's just one-click checkout, then you pay later. So I think all those innovations sort of improve or can actually influence a higher, conversion rate.
So do you think that playing around with the payment method actually can make a change in the way that customers are actually buying your products? There's some.
I think it does. It does. So if you see last 12 months, a lot of this buy now pay later payments are integrated. I'm not sure whether you order from Zomato. Zomato has got multiple BNPL player. I'm a very regular user of Zomato, and it is so convenient for me. I know I anyway pay it from my credit card, but it's just one click. So I think convenience, and I think, and there's a famous saying that whatever will make this human generation lazy will sell. You talk about, the online movie ticketing, online travel tickets, all this made as a consumer made lazy. Whatever is going to make you convenient and effortless, I think those things sell. So yes.
Absolutely. I think everyone loves these new age innovations. Basically, they're all helping us, especially the one-click checkouts.
Yeah.
I think they've really been a game changer, especially with the UPI payments, especially on your websites.
Right. And I mean, 70-80% of transactions on our website happens through mobile. So it's all the way more important to give that seamless experience because not everybody will have a card handy or payment gateway handy, but either it is saved in the phone, but, or it is you click on UPI, it takes you to a phone, a UPI app, open it. So the overall, I think effortless payment is, I think, one thing which all brands should take care of. Absolutely. And best part is a lot of these new fintechs also incentivize the customers with a lot of offers funded by them, which again greatly increases the conversion percentage because you get some, say, 200 rupees cashback on using a particular platform, which is funded by that platform. So as a D2C brand, I don't sort of burn or take the cost that, but fintech does that.
Got it. So you're protected basically from your side.
Yeah.
You're not the one taking the risk over there. Got it. And so you kind of talked about all these techniques. I think, especially your brand and the brand company, we've been seeing it across like retail locations as well, not just online. So can you talk about that, about how to build that presence? I think you've been doing a great job and having great success at that. So a couple of pointers around how the growth has been at.
Well, the brand has been, Nikhil, the brand has been here for almost 6 years. So it was among the first of its kind for men's grooming. When TMC started, there were multiple options available for women, which are available today as well. But there was not a brand which specifically talking to men. That was the whole genesis of starting the Man company. And 6 months, 6 years, sorry, 6 years have been quite sort of phenomenal for us. And the brand has positioned itself as a brand for gentlemen that has sort of helped us got these right audience who relate to the brand and relate to the premiumness of the product. But yes, it's a cluttered space, so a lot of investment goes in to uh, sort of build the brand, to build the awareness. We work with a lot of content creators who talk about the brand. We work with a lot of influencers who endorse the product, and you have to constantly do that. It's not something which you do now and not do it later. Instagram audience has a very small or short term memory. They forget very quickly. So yeah, we're channelizing our efforts on content. That's one big thing. And of course, we've been fortunate that people have sort of loved the brand, their association, there's significant repeat purchase as well. And thanks to initiatives like Chat and you guys who help us with the retention efforts as well.
Absolutely, glad to help. By the way, we've been working with the Man company for over 1.5 years. You've been one of our earliest supporters. So thank you guys so much for having the faith in us. And it's been a great journey with you guys, and it's awesome to see you guys grow. Almost hitting 1 million subscribers on your followers on your media channel. So it's great to see.
Yeah.
And wish you all the best with that.
I think our reason for or I would say premise of taking up Chat or any chatbot for that matter was we wanted to optimize the customer experience, especially for mid funnel and bottom funnel audience who are on the website, and also automate the conversations with the customers. And I think it's 1 year and few months. I think we have been working with you. The best thing that I liked about Chat was it's a very plug and play sort of integration. So I think we were live in about 7 days, if I remember correctly, and I think your team is also quite supportive that way. Yeah.
Absolutely, we'll hope to continue supporting you guys going forward. Thank you so much, Hemant, for all the wonderful tips about acquisition retention. We do have a couple of questions, so we'll spend a couple of minutes on that. Everyone, if you have any questions for Hemant that you wanted to answer, this is the best time to kind of ask on the chat, and we kind of go through that. We do have a couple of questions already.
Sure,
one question is that, is retention still a cheaper option compared to customer acquisition cost if you're giving all these, using all these tools and you're factoring in the cash back as well?
Yes, it is a cheaper option. I think if you do the maths, typically with retention, you're not looking at only one or two. Just second order, you're looking at a lifetime value. Again, depends on the category you operate in, how frequent that category is, what is the value and recency, frequency, and of all that. Of course, there's metrics that you have to look at. But think of you spend 300 rupees in acquiring a customer who bought you for say 600 rupees of product, which is typically AOV. For first transaction, you might not make money, but if you are able to reach out to the same customer and they buy another 500 rupees at a lesser cost. So if you do that math, I think for lifetime value, not just second transaction, you should look at second, third, fourth, fifth transactions and then arrive at that lifetime value. It would come out cheaper for sure. And also, these are the people who have sort of experienced the brand, and if the experience is good, they become your advocate. There are multiple interventions. You can build a referral program. They can refer your brand to others. So, that's how you build the advocacy.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Another question is there anything we could do to make D2C brands more profitable with high margins? It's a very hard question, I think, to answer. But
again, vary from your industry to industry, category to category, which certain categories are running on a very lean margin. For certain categories, the margins are significant, but then the CAC is also high. But yes, it is possible to of course make it profitable if you get all the levers right for the growth. Your CACs are in control, your retention rate is significant, or at least it covers up the your lifetime value equation. And it is possible. And there are other levers also to which leads to profitability. I mean, you can optimize your tech cost, you can optimize your logistics cost, and so.
Awesome. And I think there's a very interesting question that's more around your target segment for your brand. And it's about, are men moving towards more advanced products such as serums and exfoliants as compared to
Yes, yes, they are. Yeah, because we and also competing brands in the same space are spending a lot of you know are making a lot of investment in educating the customers about this. uh, I mean, the content creator that I spoke about, these are people actually who talk about it, and a lot of them are, sort of, they would be using the product on screen, on camera, and the videos would typically talk about. There's something which we have not seen it often, like 5 years back, men applying makeup or men doing all this thing. But yes, the trend has shifted thanks to, influencers, social media, Instagram, content creator, brands like us who are constantly pushing this, to change that. So it's changing, yes. And you will be surprised that more, I mean, the biggest influencer in this is their female partner. Could be their girlfriend or wife who are actually, sort of uplifting them to this this trend.
So to kind of build upon that, not particularly on this space, but on the concept of loyalty again. There's a couple of questions, and they talked about what are the biggest factors that drive loyalty or retention. If you could summarize, we've talked about things like offers. We've talked about a little bit about personalization, sending out messages. But if you were to summarize, what's the leading factor that leads to retention for your products?
Omni-channel, that's one thing I think we did not speak about, but that's very important. Omni-channel view. Other thing I think is how the overall customer experience the customer had, right from pre-purchase to post-purchase to post-purchase. And specifically, if we talk about the man companies, men don't change their preference very quickly. I think they're still sort of, there's a higher loyalty or stickiness. So if you're able to get the first transaction right or first interaction right, I think then it's a matter of building it up from there.
I think it's a very important insight that your market also, the fact that if you have a good experience the very first time you make that purchase in the space when you're dealing with men, they're going to stick with you, they're going to stay with you. So your loyalty actually is driven through experience in that way.
Yes, yes. I mean, overall brand experience.
Right. But then when you have all these competing, so this, the question just leading up to this is, when you have all these other competing businesses which are in the same space as you, then isn't it very difficult to actually run these loyalty programs because they're going to have a lot of discounts again in the market, and you cannot compete with that. The first time user, you can give a lot of discounts. So is it even possible to really run these loyalty programs? Or as you said, you're in the space with men as your customers.
So yeah, so there's definitely merit in running the loyalty program. One way to, I think I mentioned this point earlier as well, is the frequency of purchase. I mean, depends on your category, how frequent that purchase is, and how lucrative you're making it for the loyalty member for the next purchase. So for example, if your cashback in my wallet is 50 rupees, my AOV is 600, then that 50 rupees is nothing. I might just let go of, I mean, the cashback might just expire. However, if the, the cashback is say 200 in my wallet, my AOV is 500, that makes it a significant part for me to offset my next purchase. So, I mean, you have to sort of look at that as well, create the right sort of segment for the right sort of AOV, what kind of cashbacks they have. That's one. Other thing is how, if you can position itself as a very premium program, like it's not just the cash benefit that you're getting, but also the whole point of being associated with a loyalty club of a brand, of a premium brand. I think that also helps. And you can also give it non-cash benefits as well. For instance, higher support on priority support on the customer, or maybe same day delivery, next day delivery sort of. I mean, again, a lot of logistics involved in this, but I think those things can also be worked out. And people appreciate those gestures as well as the customers. If you're a gold member, you get maybe priority support on call. If you're a gold member, you get next day delivery. If you're a gold member, you get a special offer on your birthday. You tell us about your anniversary, we'll send some gift to your spouse or something.
Perfect. I know we just hit our time limit at 6:45. There is one more question. Do you think you'll be able to take it?
Yeah, I think we can take one last question and then
One last question. So perfect. This is an interesting question. It's about your transition into retail. So how does retention acquisition kind of change when you're actually going into retail? It's very different from an online business. So just some high level pointers about how that transition was made and what to look out for if a brand is making that transition right now.
So transition from retail to D2C, is that the question?
D2C to retail, opposite. So you're a D2C first brand, right? So how do you get into retail and how do the challenges face? What type of challenges did you face in that?
So both are a different ball game. I think D2C, I think, involves a lot of impulse by a lot of education on the platform, and products which are available, possibly not available on on offline retail or traditional retail, if I can say that. So that was very different. The customer persona is also very different for D2C and retail. Retailers usually talk to household, where probably the decision maker is somebody who is the person who is actually leading the household, could be the women of the family. In D2C, the customer persona is very, very different. Their preferences are different. Their motivation is also very different. Price sensitive customers, I mean, very, very different. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very different type of strategies you have run in both places. Online.
Very different strategies required. Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. We actually have a whole bunch of other questions that our panelists have. I mean, to you as a panelist, I don't think we'll be able to cover them all right now. So maybe what we can do is we can give an email blast.
You can email me the questions, and I'll probably revert you with. And you can reach out to the customer.
A lot of interesting questions here. So we can kind of email all the attendees with the answers to those questions very shortly. So first of all, again, thank you so much, Hemant, for spending your time on this. It was really informative. I learned a lot. Quite interesting.
Thank you, Nikhil.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Thank you, Nikhil, for this opportunity, and also want to thank your team specifically because your team has been a very important partner for us in this implementation.
Thanks so much, Hemant. Your wishes go all the way, and we'll continue doing things to kind of make this whole space of acquisition and retention. We'll keep innovating in that space as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and we'll be sending you the answers to your questions very shortly. Take care. Bye-bye.
Sure. Thank you, Nikhil.